some places that we go to in our lives that bring back fond memories of the past, people we've met along the way, things we did, or even just a smell or a sound that reminds us of a special occasion or event. For me, one such place is this very street. This is a popular tourist destination, but it wasn't always this way. Back then, it was relatively unknown. It looked like it had been empty for a long time, and it gave off an eerie vibe, especially since you never saw anyone around. She was a kind-hearted person who would always help out her neighbors whenever she could. It was truly amazing to witness the bond that these two animals shared. She left the cats at home, but told them to behave themselves and not get into any mischief. Of course, they didn't listen and spent the whole day getting into everything they could find. By the time the young woman got home, the house was in complete chaos. It was amazing to see how much joy it brought to her cats. She was so angry that she sent the cats to their rooms for the rest of the day. It was a white cat just like her beloved pet, but something was different. This cat had a collar on. They spent their days napping in the sun and their nights curled up on the couch watching TV. They were the best of friends until the very end. The young woman cautiously approached the animal and whispered hello. Black Cat was very sad, but he knew that it was just his friend as way of returning to the loving embrace of the Creator. Even though her cats had passed away, she knew that they would live on in her heart forever. She closed the photo album and walked over to the window. Also, please don't forget to share this video with your friends. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time. She looked out at the field where she and her cats had spent so much time playing. The sun was setting over the horizon and the sky was filled with beautiful colors. The young woman smiled as she thought about her cats. She knew that they were watching over her and she felt their love and presence in her heart. They had brought her so much joy and happiness over the years, and she knew that their souls would live on in her heart forever. Their tale is a reminder to all of us that the bonds we form with our pets are truly special. No matter how much time passes, the love and joy that they bring to our lives will always be remembered. The cats may have passed away, but their memory lives on in the hearts of everyone who knew and loved them. Black Cat lived for several more years after his friend's death, but he was never the same. As she flipped through the pages, she couldn't help but smile at the happy memories that each picture brought back. There was one picture in particular that she couldn't stop staring at. It was a picture of her and her two cats. They were all sitting on the porch swing, and the black cat was playfully batting at the white cat's tail. The young woman could remember that day like it was yesterday. It had been a beautiful summer day, and she had spent the entire day playing with her cats in the field. When the sun began to set, they had come inside and curled up on the porch swing to watch the sunset. It had been one of those perfect moments in life that she knew she would never forget. He missed his friend dearly and often could be found looking out the window, as if expecting him to come back. Eventually, the black cat also passed away, and the two friends were reunited once again in the great beyond. To her surprise, the cat turned around and meowed. It was her cat. She couldn't believe it. She was so happy. The young woman quickly put her arms around the cat and hugged it tightly. It purred loudly, as if to say, "I'm sorry I disappeared, but I'm back now and I'm not going anywhere." The young woman was overjoyed. She couldn't believe that her cat had come back. She took him home and gave him lots of love and attention, and the two were inseparable once again. They were both very upset, but they knew they had only themselves to blame. Her cats were her pride and joy. She loved them more than anything else in the world. She put them both on a leash and headed to the market. The black cat was well behaved, but the white cat refused to walk anywhere. just sat down in the middle of the road and refused to budge. The young woman tried everything she could think of to get the cat to move, but nothing worked. She ended up having to carry the cat the rest of the way to the market, and that was quite a walk. They would spend all day playing together in the fields, and at night, they would snuggle up on the couch watching TV. One cat was black and the other was white. They couldn't have been more different from each other if they tried. The young woman was at her wit's end. She didn't know what to do. That's when she had an idea. The black cat started to slow down a bit, but the white cat remained just as active as ever. One day, the white cat didn't show up for breakfast. The young woman was worried, but figured that the cat had probably just wandered off somewhere and would be back soon enough. However, the cat didn't return home that night or the next day, and the young woman was starting to get really worried. She put up some posters around town offering a reward for the cat's safe return. But weeks went by and there was still no sign of the white cat. The young woman was heartbroken. She missed her furry friend terribly and felt like a part of her soul was missing. She went to the backyard and grabbed some catnip and started sprinkling it around the house. Cats love catnip, so it was worth a shot. It worked like a charm. The white cat immediately perked up and started running around the house like a madman. Black cat joined in on the fun and they were both so happy. The white cat was fluffy and lazy and preferred to spend its days sleeping and eating. Black cat, on the other hand, was sleek and muscular and always on the move. Despite their differences, though, they were the best of friends. They played together, groomed each other, and slept in the same bed. They were inseparable. Only locals knew about it, and you wouldn't see more than one or two tourists here at most. There were 3 houses lining the street. First one belonged to an elderly woman who had moved here from another city. She was always alone and didn't really speak to anyone. I don't think she wanted to be disturbed by anyone, though, so no one bothered her. The house was beautiful and well maintained, and every morning, without fail, you could see her watering the flowers in the front garden. Lived here for a couple of years when I was younger, and there are so many great memories from this place. It brings a smile to my face even today. This story begins exactly where I'm sitting right now. The second house down was empty. The windows were boarded up and weeds were growing through the cracks in the pavement. In the third house, which is where I'm sitting right now, lived a young woman and her 2 cats. As you can imagine, everyone in town knew about these 2 cats, and people would often come from other places just to catch a glimpse of them. One day, the young woman had to go into town on some errands. The next day, the young woman decided to take the cats with her into town. When they got back home, the white cat still refused to cooperate. It just lay down on the floor and wouldn't move. From that day on, the young woman made sure to keep plenty of catnip on hand. As time went on, the 2 cats grew older, and one day, as she was walking past the market, she saw something that made her stop in her tracks. Years passed and the 2 cats grew old together. One day, the white cat passed away peacefully in his sleep. The young woman was deeply saddened by the loss of her 2 beloved cats, but she was also grateful for the time that she had spent with them. One day, the young woman was cleaning out the attic when she came across an old photo album. As she looked at the picture, the young woman felt a sense of peace come over her. Even though the 2 cats are gone, their story will never be forgotten now. I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the story? How did you feel when you heard it? Let me know in the comments below.